Uh, my journey actually began in Hawaii in 2011, December 9th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when I experienced a radical Kundalini awakening. At the time, I was a member of the Methodist Church. I was singing in the choir, and my life had been very religious. Both of my parents were either an ordained reverend or a lay reverend in Methodism, which is a conservative.
Hello, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing on a new show for Soul Illumination with my dear friend, Angie LaRue. Hi, Angie. So, Angie, I am so excited to have you share your view of soul, the path to soul, soul illumination, and the beauty and the gift of that in everyone's life. So, why don't we first start about, for the people that don't know you, maybe take a little bit of time to explain to them your journey to awakening to the bigger perspective. Okay?
Okay. My journey actually began in Hawaii in 2011, December 9th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when I experienced a radical Kundalini awakening. At the time, I was a member of the Methodist Church. I was singing in the choir, and my life had been very religious. Both of my parents were either an ordained reverend or a lay reverend in Methodism, which is a conservative branch of very middle stream branch of Christianity. And and so when I got the Godsmack, I didn't have a paradigm to understand what that was. And it took a very long time to sort it out. In the meantime, I had a voice in my head, which I since have learned was what I call higher self or my spirit. And it began teaching me. It began, or I, on an eternal level, began teaching me over the course of about 6 years. And this led to a much greater understanding of what reality really is, what this human experience really is, what's important when we're down here, right? We spend a lot of our lives giving the hours of our life away to other people with no understanding that we're also here to experience this life, well, in any particular way, but of the options, um, joy and love and enthusiasm and engagement definitely wins out. So who is this higher self? My understanding at this point is it is my eternal aspect. It's the part of me that's been reincarnating into bodies again and again, of which this is one of them. This particular outfit is named Angie. And by connecting up through the higher self and allowing the higher self to come down into the heart and infuse the body, it makes accessible a lot of information, talents and abilities and understandings and evolutions that were gleaned in other lives. And so what I'm really doing in this life is I'm adding to the totality of that soul. So a part of me is down here living for Angie and enjoying good dinners and evenings with friends. But part of me is a vehicle for the eternal aspect of me to evolve and grow and experience. And really everything that I do down here as Angie is value to the soul. And a lot of that information, a lot of these experiences will be brought forward in future incarnations and added to the totality of whatever I am then. Maybe I'm Bob then, right? Whoever I am. And maybe it's not a who. Maybe I'm going to transition to another planet and begin evolving up on that planet. There's so many different fractals, the way God has fractalized into physicality and all these different experiments, different solar systems, all over the universe, different species, different worlds. And there's a lot of different experiences to be had to evolve and grow and fill out and embody that primal knowledge of the divine.
So, Ange, when you're talking about this, are you thinking that all of these lifetimes and these aspects of your soul are all happening on the same timeline? Like some philosophers say that there is no time in the other dimension, so all of these aspects are playing out all at the same time.
In the eternal moment of now. Yeah, definitely. That being said, some of the incarnations have come to an end, though, which gives us a sense of time. So it's a little bit complicated. I'm not sure our human brain can actually understand exactly what's going on, because yes, everything is happening simultaneously in the moment of the eternal moment of now. But there is coming and goings within that, which implies linear time. So it's a little hard to grasp, actually. I think we could probably hurt our brains if we try to wrap our brains completely around that. I don't think the human mind is adapted to understand that yet.
Okay.
Maybe that'll change.
So I believe, and I think you also believe, that the journey to connection and reconnection to soul and that spiritual experience is the game and play. That's what we came here to do. But you can see that there's lots of chaos and lots of ways to distract people from that experience. Could you talk a little bit about that? Because you had an awakening experience which pretty much shifted your 3D reality to a whole different lifestyle, a whole different everything. And then, but you also help people as they go through these changes to integrate and utilize these gifts of higher and expansive awareness to enrich their lives. So could you talk a little bit about your transition and then how you've used it?
So there's a level of consciousness where it doesn't really matter what we do down here. We can roll around and run around with our heads chopped off, being dumb. And it's okay. The soul learns from that as well. We can spend all our time in fear and anxiety and produce all kinds of massive health conditions. And that's fine. The soul learns from that too. The soul is going to learn no matter what we do. And in some ways, there's no judgment on that. But from experience, I can assure you there are ways to live which feel better and are more fun and more enjoyable and more joy-filled. And the world is always going to invite us into a soup. And I believe as humans, what we're kind of a main theme that we're exploring is the difference between love and fear, right? Trust and anxiety, worry and knowingness, right? And we get produce those opportunities show up almost daily to get to explore that. One path is viscerally alive, right? When we're experiencing fear, we are deeply, deeply alive, right? And when we're in a place of faith and we're trusting that everything's unfolding, that's a float. It's not so visceral. It's not so primal. Both things have value. And so it's a matter of what your preference is. And then moving your thinking, your thoughts, and your reactions in line with what it is you seek. And sometimes maybe we'll go to a scary movie with our friends just to get scared to death and really experience that fear. And we may choose to live that way every single day. That's an option. That's completely an option. But if that doesn't feel good, and if that produces high blood pressure and all kinds of problems in our body, and we want to do something else, then we want to begin our day with positive, happy thoughts. And be aware of our thinking. Be very aware of ourselves. Like that third grade teacher who seemed to have an eyeball on every single student and always knew what you were doing, right? We want to keep an eye on ourselves like that. And as we notice ourselves starting to have an emotional response to something, we want to actually not engage that, right? And we want to think about, why did I just have a trigger on that? Why is that my business? Why do I have an opinion? Why do I even care about this, right? And just think about it. And you may decide to go ahead and be triggered and put your voice into whatever that is. And you may decide to keep your peace. And there's going to be two different results. And they are each very interesting to explore in and of themselves. And I don't think our higher self or our eternal self is particularly going to judge that. It's just experience. And this is a little bit binary down here, so that we can clearly see the results of our reactions, or the results of our thinking, or the results of our emotion. And we really are born free will agents, and we get to decide in every single moment, no matter what's happening in the bigger world construct. There's these little paths that you can take minute by minute that happen inside of your head that determines whether you're a free agent in sovereignty or carried along the tide, the river, and maybe it's going to go over a waterfall. So being aware of what's happening in your head, your heart, your emotions, and your thoughts is key to navigating. That's how you navigate your ship through this world.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. That was a perfect answer. So some people talk about shadows, and that's basically what I would call what you're talking about, triggering, where you may have, whether it was from this lifetime, might be a karmic lesson that you chose before you embodied, but there's an opportunity to see, oh, that's echoing, that story or that experience is repeating. It might be a conversation you had with me or someone else, and something just clicked you off. What would you say about that opportunity? Because you're a master at this. What would you say about that?
Get curious. Don't check out of the experience. Don't go into numbness. Don't go into bypassing it, right? That's unawareness. Stay curious and be open to whatever further knowledge comes, right? So in that curiosity, wow, why did I just trigger on that? Why do I suddenly not want to engage this person anymore? Where did that come from, right? Where did that judgment suddenly come from? And then you track that back. When was the first time I experienced this? And maybe you find that you actually pick that up overhearing a conversation between your mother and her friend, and that's how your mother responded. And you pick that up as a pattern then. Okay, fine. That's fine. But here's where the opportunity comes in. Now that you've made discovery on what it is, decide if it feels good, if it serves you, and if you want to keep it. Or if you don't like it, it's weighty and it doesn't feel good, and you want to let it go. And that's the shadow work. The shadow work is just revealing that which is hidden, that is subconscious, that is behind the actions, the thoughts, the experiences, the reactions that we're having. Let's discover, where in the world did that thing come from? And is it serving me? And sometimes, like, one thing that's really current right now is a lot of scams in every single way. We're kind of in a world market, and a lot of the innocence has been kind of stripped away, and we're having to come up to speed on all these different ways to be scammed, right? And that's an opportunity too, to really discern what is the difference between naivety and discernment, right? So something is being revealed, which is giving us an opportunity to learn something deeper and more wise and more knowing about ourselves. And so in regards to shadow work, it's just shining the light on where the origin point is. Find the ground zero on that, and then decide if it serves, if it's even appropriate for you, or if it's just a picked up pattern, because our brains do that, and that's okay. That's okay. Our brains are sponges. They absorb everything, and they're not discerning. And so as we become more awake and more conscious, then we get to go through our brain and get rid of all the files that aren't serving us. And it's not a judgment. It's not heavy. It doesn't have to be difficult work any more than cleaning out that closet, right?
So do you ascribe to the same philosophy that anything you see in your field is part of you as well? So for instance, if you said something and I was triggered, and rather than project that aspect onto you, do you believe that I have to have that too in order to recognize it?
Well, that there's a little bit of practical wisdom that comes in. So I say some things and they trigger you. Well, that's yours, right? I say a bunch more things, you get even more triggered. I say a bunch more things. Maybe I'm a jerk. That's entirely possible. And so wisdom on your part is to look for the pattern. Can you shift me? Am I going to keep being like that? Do you want to keep exposing yourself to that?
Okay. Okay. Well, if we are creating our reality, and our reality can include these learning modules. I mean, if we're in Earth School 101, 201, 301, 401, or 501, or graduate degrees, postgraduate degrees, we all are here to have a potential to ascend to a more powerful, guided, loving experience. And do you want to share a little bit about, at first we talked about your awakening, but I'd love for you to share about your capacity to teach others tools for their awakening. Could you share a little bit about that?
My awakening was a really full, long, profound experience. And I learned a lot. And my higher self and angels, guides, whoever it is that's working with me, are very good teachers. And so what I teach is firsthand experience. I'm not a sophist. Plato used to rail about the sophists. These are teachers who teach something that was taught to them, but they don't have or have very little firsthand experiential knowledge of it. What I teach is all firsthand. And since I kind of learned from the school of hard knocks, I'm very good at teaching also what not to do. Or you can do it, but it leads to pain. in discomfort in one way, or another way. And I think another thing that I really bring to teaching is a certain amount of pragmatism. And the New Age community has gone off the rails in a few areas. And that doesn't help us. That's dangling a carrot that's unreachable because the carrot's an illusion. And, we actually do want to evolve. And we really do want to have useful skills. And we really do want to be useful and of service to ourselves and others in this world. And I think what I bring is some very high level spiritual firsthand experience and knowledge in bite-sized pieces, which are understandable, mixed with the pragmatism of being a human. And what's true on higher levels doesn't always play out really well down here on the ground in the trenches, right? And addressing what you were saying earlier about the levels of consciousness from, we did the little scenario if I was being a jerk, right? And like the 501 level, you would have never even crossed my path, right? Like there's an internal guidance system that moves you away from the things that don't feel good. And that's part of what I teach too, is how to develop and build that internal guidance system. Oops, you're muted, dear.
The other benefit is that for people that have had spontaneous spiritual experiences like I have had, a lot of times their sanity is tested as they're trying to integrate the reality that they experienced, which was closer to the oneness and the capability to co-create at a very high level, and that fear of that with this reality. And so a lot of times your students at your mystery school get a chance to learn step by step other ways to look at things and integrate it in a safe place that is filled with love and that is filled with other like-minded people. The thing about having a spiritually transformative experience or a near-death experience or a Kundalini experience is a lot of times you are so out of phase with your past reality, the reality 5 minutes before this event, that it is difficult to even speak of it, integrate it in any way, and make it useful. And what your school work that I've seen, it's quite remarkable how it allows people to come into their power and integrate them to them, integrate their soul in their present experience.
And understand dimensional appropriateness.
That's good.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that? That would be fascinating for everyone.
So with the evolution of consciousness comes 2 to 3 levels of awareness simultaneously, which feels like you've lost your mind, right? But you're just getting a lot more data. It's like so much more information is coming into you now. And you learn how to separate, use that to inform you, how to work with it, how to tune down something, how to turn up something else. It's very difficult for empaths and telepaths because they suddenly hear everybody all at once, and it's complete chaos. And they're maybe trying to hear their angels and guides, and they don't even know what's speaking to them. They're not entirely positive what it is that's talking to them. And so it's a lot of ways to learn how to navigate that for yourself, and they're good tools, right? So if we're trying to screw in a screw into the wall, a serving spoon probably isn't the best thing, right? And so it's learning what are the best tools, what are the mental constructs where I can sort all of this out. And part of what I do is try to normalize the shock and trauma for those who have awakened spontaneously or had a near-death experience. I have a lot of compassion for that, because that was my path into the higher understanding. And it does come with a lot of shock. And that is the brain attaching to its egoic identity, its identity of what it thought it was and what it thought life was. And it turns out it's a multiplicity of times greater and more complex than that. And how do we help our brain to live with not knowing and to become comfortable in not knowing? As much as we know, as much access as we get to higher realms, there's always going to be stuff that we don't know. And we have to learn to live with that. And I think helping the ego to learn to live with all of this is one of the greatest acts of self-love there is. It is one of the greatest acts of compassion you can do for yourself, is nurture your own personality through the awakening of consciousness and into becoming something far greater than it ever dreamed it could be. It is a very great act of self-love. And our ability to love others really comes from our capacity to love ourselves, right? That is our bottom line. That is all we know. Everything else is acting or wishful thinking, right? Our capacity to love ourselves is our baseline. That is the foundation from which we can love others in the world from.
That's beautiful and so true, and so available to everyone. When I introduced Angie at the IONS conference, the International Association for Near-Death Studies, I kept calling her Dr. Angie LaRue by mistake. It just kept coming because I met Angie because of her spiritual healing and psychic surgery capacity. And what I really think is that she was able to tap into love and fuel people's bodies to self-healing in a lot of ways through her love, her laser focus of love. And that's where I kept saying, doctor, because I saw it, I witnessed it over and over again. Plus, Angie is also a Christologist, which means that she has a incredible affinity to work with crystals and the earth to provide a nurturing, supportive environment for you to change your frequency, to experience a bigger, more expansive stay here on Hotel Earth or School Earth or whatever you want to call it, right?
Right? Yeah.
So I want to make sure you had offered before we came on that you could possibly do an energy experience for people so that they could sense of you. But first, before that, will you tell them about your website so we make sure that if we get too floaty, that we don't miss that?
Yes. So my website is crystalarrays.com. So CRYSTALARRAYS.com. And there's a number of things that are available. There's products. These are things that I make out of crystals that release energies that help us evolve, help us stay calm, help our body, all kinds of things. I mean, there's this level where frequency and energy is everything. We can describe the entire universe and the evolution of consciousness in those terms, or anything else in those terms for that matter. So there's a lot of products available. There's also a lot of digital downloads of different energy sets. So you consider these, oh goodness, they're packets of energy that are downloaded, given to you, that you can absorb and take and help evolve your consciousness or heal your body. You can also book sessions with me there. And you can also join the Inner Passage Mystery School, where you learn all this and a bunch more.
Great.
And the Inner Passage Mystery School goes from, I've actually spent years now developing the curriculum. And it goes from the very basic foundation to very complex.
Right, right. So if your inner wizard or sorceress wants to come into play, and you're advanced, you can do that, but you also can learn the basics where you can feel that you can walk your path with comfort and ease and confidence. It's a different walk through the world once you have those
Oh, and I
tools.
forgot, I'm a psychic too. So, so if you need any type of reading, what's going to happen in your life next month, or how to make it through a difficult decision, what your soul path is, what your gifts are, what your soul trajectory is, anything like that.
And you're incredibly accurate with that. That's what's so exciting. So
Mm.
so now if we could, it would be wonderful for the audience to have an experience of where they could connect more with their soul and increase their connection and comfort and trust and experience the love that they are. So you had generously said you would give us a little experience. So I'll get off screen again so you can do that. Okay.
Okay, I might want you, because it may take a moment, I might want you
Oh,
to
okay. Okay.
talk a little bit
Okay.
um, about our star brothers and sisters, their evolution, and the gifts that they can give us. Because I think what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give us energies for connecting to your source self or your higher self, correct alignment to source creator, energies that bring us up to source alignment within ourselves. They bring in our support system and amplify the morphic field or auric field. Codums to connect with self. And I think that'll be good. All right. So I'm going to send these energies out right now to you. And then we're going to activate them. Take a deep breath between each activator word, and I'll prompt you with that. And afterwards, we're just going to sit in the energies for a moment and notice what we notice. And here come these energies now. Take a deep breath. Say with me, activate. Deep breath. Enhance. Deep breath. Amplify. Deep breath. Expand. Now just sit with those energies, noticing what changes within you, what shifts. Hmm. So in the Inner Passage Mystery School, the students get about 3 of these energy packets, these frequency codes, every class. So you just got to experience a few of them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm getting high-pitched information coming in my right ear, which is where it always comes. And I'm definitely feeling it. So thank you so much. I hope everyone has felt this and will go to crystalarrays.com and learn more about Angie LaRue's work. And is that the best way for them to find you, is your website?
Yes, and there is a contact page there as well where that'll come to me as an email.
Oh, wonderful. So this is another recipe for success for you as you are evolving on your pathway to integrate and be illuminated by the light and love of your soul. So thank you so much, Angie. Love, love, love your work, and so glad to know you. Thank you so much, dear.